Welcome to the world of tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing what I was doing for the Venture Bros, but with Futurama, because I have been watching a lot of that show recently in preparation for the new season, as I have been with the Venture Bros in preparation for the movie. So, hopefully this will be a bit different and a bit shorter, and we'll see how it goes. Space Planet 3000, the first episode of this show, is where Fry gets sent into the future. He's cryogenically frozen.
What the?
And I think definitely as a kid, maybe less so now, there was a bit of me that always wished I could get frozen and sent into the future. Escape reality, and I'm sure we've all been there, but, you know. And I think I would take a lot longer than Fry when it comes to mourning, because he gets over his family, friends, and everyone he ever know being dead real quick. In fact, he seems more happy about it.
I'm sure this must be very upsetting for you.
You know, I guess it should be, but actually I'm glad.
And Fry's also using his pop culture knowledge to explain the future to himself. Expecting doors to work just like they do in Star Trek, which he learns very quickly they don't. As he explains to Leela, he's been frozen for 1,000,000 years.
Cool, just like in Star Trek. Oh!
And Leela tries to give him a job assignment, and that's something else that I don't know, I think maybe at this stage in my life I would be very glad for. You know, somebody tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do, rather than whatever the hell I'm doing at the moment. And I'm also not sure I would have been a fan of the Probulator, or the Probator, or whatever it's called. Very the nozzle, but I'm not sure I need things going in all my holes and scanning every aspect of my body.
Now strip naked and get on the Probulator.
Ooh!
But Leela explains to Fry he's going to be a delivery driver, because you've got to do what you got to do. And while it may not be an ideal job, at least Fry knows what he's doing.
Delivery boy? No! No!
Won't be spending the rest of his 20s or 30s, or however old Fry is, you know, trying to figure out his life. But Fry obviously refuses, and pushes Leela into the cryo tube thing.
You've got to the count of 5 to let me out of here. 1.
And it's a really, redeeming moment for our protagonist as he decides not to freeze Leela for 1,000 years and do, you know, bare minimum goodness. Yeah, and again, it's this bit where the future seems confusing and wild, but it's also basically the same as before. Nothing changes. The technology has improved, people are still people, and they're assholes. But public transport has improved, as we now get travel tubes to take Fry all across the city.
Crosstown Express?
Psst, tourist.
And Fry goes to his first suicide booth, which the show says came out in 2008. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw these at one point in the future. Why not capitalize on everything? That's the whole point of capitalism, right? Why not make money off people killing themselves? They're gonna do it anyway. And we're also introduced to Bender, who shows off his lovable arsehole-liness as he pushes into the suicide booth with Fry, scams the machine out of his money, and then doesn't let himself commit suicide, which is always nice. Though I imagine there's a world in which Bender sort of just stands there as Fry gets stabbed and brutally murdered in front of him.
Doofer. Bring it on, baby!
And from the Kill All Humans Bender we see later in the show, I think he'd probably not be too opposed to that. And they go off to get a drink. Where Bender tells Fry that he doesn't need to drink and he can quit anytime he wants.
Drink.
I don't need to drink. I can quit any time I want.
But we later learn that Bender's programming, fuel, and processing power is all very reliant on him drinking alcohol. In fact, when he doesn't and becomes sober, it's causing more problems for the crew. Talking about prejudice and things not changing in 1,000 years, Bender hates robosexuals, because obviously people are going to still hate other groups of people, and we're never all going to get along, because, you know, humans.
But I don't want people thinking we're robosexuals, so if anyone asks, you're my debugger.
And Leela, on her chase, spots our fugitives, and calls the cops. And in one of the shows, I don't know, this show comes out of the gate so hard. Even in season 1, its funny, like, getaway gags are amazing. Obviously, it had the years and years of The Simpsons to sort of, the creators had so much practice doing this. But the cops saying they're 5 minutes away as they're around the corner, I don't know, it just makes me laugh every time.
This is Officer 1BDI, requesting backup.
We'll be there in 5 minutes.
And that leads us to the Head Museum. Which, would have been... the Head Museum is one of those concepts that I'm not sure is brilliant or absolutely insane. Because, oh my god, can you imagine what would happen to celebrities nowadays if you let them live for another 200 years? They're all bloody insane already. They're all becoming radical, one way or the other. Let's maybe not keep them all alive. The show sort of shows this off with Nixon, as he has become more and more and more insane, being alive for longer and longer and longer. I guess they probably have less rights and stuff once you become a head. And we see Spock. Rest in peace.
To the Head Museum. I'm Leonard Nimoy.
Spock?
We see Leonard Nimoy, rest in peace, reliving his, probably greatest character. I was going to say it's probably the last time he did it, but no, he was in the new Star Trek films. God, that man will just always be Spock, won't he? And he talks about how they're keeping their dignity before being fed like fish in bowls. And I guess, yeah, you treat the celebrities' heads like you treat old people. They kind of just get ignored, and so occasionally people talk to them.
Of quiet dignity.
Feeding time!
In their getaway, Fry and Bender accidentally release Nixon, which doesn't seem like a big deal at the time, but oh my god, him coming back throughout this show as the evil, tyrannical, capitalist dictator man is kind of brilliant.
Watch it!
That's it. You just made my list.
And also, police brutality hasn't changed in 1,000 years, as Fry and Bender start to get beat on. But after the cops accidentally insult Leela's nose, she saves the day by kicking their butts.
No one makes fun of my nose.
Leaving Fry and Bender to once again almost get away. But Bender can't bend bars because it goes against his programming. And then an electric shock that literally changes the course of the 3000s as Bender gets to rebel against his programming.
You're full of crap, Fry. You make a persuasive argument, Fry.
Which leads to all of his antics, assumedly, throughout the show. Bender must have been slightly good before then. Slightly good. And then we head down into old New York.
Aw.
Which I love, because I love how, just true this is of real cities and places where you just keep building. It's like, yep, we're just going to bury the old stuff, keep going. Probably, yeah, I was going to say it's probably going to happen less so nowadays, since we've got way, way bigger buildings, but also, I don't know, with climate change and rising sea levels, we might need to build that high. And as Leela catches up, they have that heart-to-heart, and we see Leela is also a real person and has feelings, and becomes...
I don't understand this world, but you obviously do. So I give up. If you really think I should be a delivery boy, I'll do it.
One of the best, probably, animated female characters ever. She has agency, she has kick butt powers, and she won't take shit from basically anyone. But she quits her job, shows her agency, and as a swamp monster comes out of where Fry used to ice skate, they all go off to meet the professor. Bender instantly pushes through the door with the intent to con the professor, saying that this is your uncle.
Dear old Uncle Fry.
I don't have an Uncle Fry.
You do now.
And even when the professor works out that's true, he still isn't going to give them any money. Because the professor might be old, but he's definitely not stupid.
I am your nephew. This is absolutely incredible.
Can we have some money?
Oh my, no.
We get our first already in my PJs bit as the cops come knocking on the door. Which I guess puts this as Leela's first time saving the day, as she's the one that flies the spaceship and gets everyone out of that ship.
Can anyone drive stick?
I can, as long as I don't have to parallel park.
And as the cops get ready to shoot, Leela rockets off. The New York New Year's fireworks confuse the cops enough for them to get away.
I can't see nothing. Pretty, though.
And as Leela asks about the old crew, as they will get their new job tags from the professor, we see the professor empty out a bag labelled contents of Space Wasp stomachs.
This is awesome.
And Fry's super excited to be a space delivery boy. And that literally one-off gag becomes a whole flipping episode later on in this show about space wasps. And it's just one of those brilliant things. Again, like the Venture Bros, where it's just... I don't know if it's planned out, or if the writers are intelligent enough to figure shit out.
So I'm gonna be a delivery boy?
Exactly.
All right! I'm a delivery boy!